Hi, welcome to your indirect measurement video. You will be using proportions once again to solve problems that involved indirect measurement. The one and only question we are answering today is, how do I solve indirect measurement problems? Most indirect measurement problems have to do with shadows, and so drawing pictures is actually going to be a great way to solve these problems and make sure that you have it set up correctly. First example for you. A fire hydrant is 2.5 feet. That is 2.5 feet high, casts a 5-foot shadow. How tall is a street light that casts a 26-foot shadow at the same time? And then your variable is h. That's the least important part. Like I said, pictures are the most important thing. And so that's what I'm going to use to help you figure this out. You do need to make sure that you're getting all of this down in your notes, as it is important and valuable information. So here we have our street light. That is h. Like the picture says, we know our shadow is 26 feet. So I'm just going to make that look a little bit darker so it looks more like a shadow. And then we have our little tiny fire hydrant, and that has a shadow that is 5 feet tall. And what you can do here is actually connect them, and now it looks like a triangle, which is something you've seen before. And these are now similar triangles. And so we are going to solve the problem. You'll want to set this up corresponding sides with your triangle. So we have h, and then the 2.5 feet obviously are linked together with it. You'll write your proportion h over 26 equals, and then that h is linked to the coordinating 2.5. And that is over 5. We link that, which links this, just as a connection for you. And then you can solve, and I'm just going to erase this part here so it's not in the way. So now we have h 2.5. There we go. And now we will want to solve. Sometimes scale factor will work up and down or across. Other times we will have to find the unit rate. You do what you got to do to solve the problem. In this case, you might notice that if you take 2.5 and multiply it by 2, you get an answer of 5. And so going the opposite direction means I have to do the opposite thing. So instead of multiplying by 2, I'm going to divide by 2. And 26 divided by 2 is 13. So h is 13, which means your height is 13 feet. You'll want to label that. That is your final answer. I'll just show you briefly. If you couldn't figure that out using that, you could always use unit rate. So taking that 2.5 over 5, change that into over 1, because that's what unit rate is. Solve for that first. So going from 5 to 1, you're dividing by 5. So you're going to take 2.5 and divide that by 5, which gives you x to be 0.5. And now you might think you're done there, but you're not actually, because now you have to take that and go to what you're actually trying to find. So this was 0.5 here, but that's not what we were trying to find. We weren't yes, we needed the unit rate, but that's not telling us the height of our lamp. Our lamp is out of 26. So now I go from 1 to 26. I'm multiplying by 26. So 0.5 times 26, that will also give me 13. So really, either method will work for you. Example number 2. You will actually see something like this in iExcel. What this is when triangles are kind of on top of each other, essentially, or they're mirror images of each other. You might see on iExcel your triangle looking something like this. Either way, it's actually using indirect measurement. And so I'm going to walk you through how to solve these ones, get these set up. Again, pictures are so important here. In the figure at the right, triangle DBA, which is the smaller triangle, is similar to the larger triangle, and it tells you that they correspond with each other. It's telling you what sides match, but you can see that. I'm going to just break this apart, and I think that's a very helpful thing to do. Actually, I should use the same colors here so I don't confuse you. So we want to break it apart. So here we have our pink triangle. That had a height of 40 meters. And I can just tell that from looking at the picture. And then the hypotenuse was 320 meters. And then I have my green triangle, which we'll draw here. This is D, the distance we don't know. And then we have 320 is partially the way, and then the other part is 162, so we actually have to add that together. 482 meters then is the length there. And now we can clearly see our triangles and what length sides correspond with each other. Obviously you can see the side of 40 corresponds with the side of D. And so when we write this, this is going to be 40 over 320 equals, and then our corresponding side is D with the 40, and then 482 corresponds with that 320. And now we can solve our proportion. The best way to do this, I would think, and you probably are noticing too, is to simplify this down a little bit more. And when you do this, you will notice 32 should be your hint there, so you know it's divisible by 4. So it's actually divisible by 40 is the greatest common factor there. So divide both of these down by 40 and you get 1 over 80. And then that equals the D over 482. So we just simplified down that fraction. Now I can solve this fairly easily because I can use my scale factor and go from 1 to 80. 1 times 80 is 80. So I could go the same way, but I'm going to actually go the other way because now I can divide by 80 and get my answer much easier. And 482 divided by 80 gives me an answer of 6.025, which means the answer to my problem is 6.025 meters. Alright, it is your turn to write these proportions and solve them. I would strongly recommend drawing these pictures, separating the triangles that are overlapping, that whole thing. Make sure you show all of your work. I will be looking for that. And go ahead and do these and then turn this back on when you are done. Alright, the answers are on your screen there. Again, if you do not have work to go with this, I'll assume that you just copied down the answers, and that is not a good thing. So make sure you have all of your work when I check your notes. As always, if you have any questions, be sure to ask in class. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Have a great day.